reconciliation. Well, I'll just give you an overview of how the advanced bank reconciliation works in Dynamics. Advanced bank reconciliation is an automatic reconciliation, which means you have to import a bank statement into Dynamics. There is a possibility of importing a bank statement into Dynamics, but in a specific format you have to import it. There are certain specific formats for bank statements to be imported into Dynamics. So if you import in that specific format, then system would automatically reconcile the transactions of the bank statement to the transactions that are posted in Dynamics. So that needs again certain prerequisites and configurations to be done. So it's almost like a 6 to 7 steps process. So I'm not going to show you everything here because it doesn't really work in the demo environment. Neither without a technical assistance we cannot proceed with advanced bank reconciliation. So it needs minor technical assistance until how we can import and the statement and that area path configurations and all. But I'll anyway show you the overview. Suppose let's assume we have a bank statement. Bank statement with 100 transactions. 100 transactions totaling of something like 8 lakhs positive amount. Suppose there can be payments and anything. In Dynamics, we have something like 125 transactions. So it is totaling of something like 9,50,000. Let's assume. Just a kind of example. See, in this 100 transactions, there can be chance that 100 transactions of this bank statement can be in the list of Dynamics transactions, right? There can be chance that only 90 transactions from here to here are matching. Other 10 in the bank statement are new transactions, and other 35 in the Dynamics are new transactions, which are not matching to each other. Okay, and there can be any possibility of matching. So in that case, how the matching has to be performed, how system have to knock off each transaction, what is the criteria that Dynamics have to consider for the advanced bank reconciliation in order to reconcile the transactions between bank statement to the Dynamics transactions. So that we have to prepare or we have to configure initially. So Dynamics doesn't really know what has to be matched and what has to be configure, what has to be matched and reconciled from bank statement to Dynamics. So you might have to give the guidance to the system on how it have to map. So these are the usual formats that we normally use for importing the bank statement. So this 3 formats that my Dynamics normally supports. So this is one. ISO 222 is one format. Then 2940 is another format. Then BA 2. This is another format. Formats for advanced bank reconciliation. These 3 formats. If you upload a bank statement in these 3 formats, Dynamics supports and reads the format and the transactions within the bank statement. So who would give these formats? One thing is that the banks can provide you this format on a paid service. Sometimes in other countries, banks do provide bank statement according to our convenience. Or you can bring out the bank statement and prepare your own format according to your convenience again. So normal bank statement you can bring in and you can use that bank statement for converting it into any of these formats, and you can import that into Dynamics. So for that, in order to use advanced bank reconciliation, first thing is that you have to select the bank account for which you are going to use the advanced bank reconciliation process. So we have 2 bank accounts, ICICI and SBI. For ICICI yesterday we have done the manual bank reconciliation. But SBI, let us choose for advanced bank reconciliation process for the bank SBI. Suppose if I click on SBI, bottom in the reconciliation, I have this option called as advanced bank reconciliation. I'm sorry, I'm in another legal entity. Let me change it back. So here I have this SBI one. If I go to this bank and edit this, see, I have the option here as to enable advanced bank reconciliation. If you enable this, then only you can opt for advanced bank reconciliation, and you will see some change in the reconciliation menu here. There will be another two more options available. Okay, if you enable this advanced bank reconciliation, you will get a pop-up that once after enabling it, you cannot turn it off. So you have to use advanced bank reconciliation forever if you enable it. You can't turn it back again and do manual bank reconciliation further. So it's one time. If you enable it, all these functions will be enabled and there will be certain changes on the screen of reconciliation, and that would stay forever, and you cannot reverse it, or you cannot opt to manual bank reconciliation once again. So that's a um, major drawback. It's not a drawback actually. It's how it is configured to be. I'm enabling this one and I'll click on OK. See, since I enable it, see, I can't disable it once again. It's gone option. So then I have some options. Use bank statements as confirmation for electronic payments. So if there are any electronic payments, select this option to generate bank documents when status of payment journal lines change it to sent. Then the status will be updated to received when the bank documents are reconciled with the bank statement. If you do not select this option, you will have to manually create the bank documents. That's what it is saying. It is about generation of electronic documents during the electronic payments. Actually, it's mandatory in certain European countries that you might have to generate electronic documents. Then allowed penny difference. So enter the maximum difference that is allowed for a bank statement line to be reconciled with the bank document line. For example, bank statement line has an amount of $50 and the bank document line has the amount of 50.04, 4 cents extra. If you give 5 cents in the field, the two lines would reconcile together during the bank reconciliation process. If 0.2 was entered, the lines will not be matched up. So which means like in the bank statement, you have a transaction like 50. Coming to Dynamics, you have it as 50.04. 50.04 means there is a variance of 4 cents in the two transactions compared from the bank statement to the Dynamics. So in that case, it will not match both of them. It says that there is a variance. It won't match. But you can give some condition like if there is a variance of up to 5 cents also, you can match it. Or if there is a variance of up to 10 cents also, you can match it. If it is beyond 10 cents, do not match the transaction, just leave it. So you can give such kind of condition. Then you have statement format. So actually the statement format has to be configured in some other page. So this SBI format that I generally configured for another company, but doesn't really, it's just a overview format. For this actually to configure, we might need, I mean, just for configuration, I can do it like this SBI statement one, just give it a name, processing group bank and XML file. So which would now look in a web XML format. Then you have to give this one generic electronic import format, and this import format configuration has to be done actually. That's the main thing that in the bank statement format. So just disable this one generic. Okay. Then you can give the bank name in the statements, how the bank name would be reflecting in the bank statements. So if you say the bank name will be like this one, State Bank of India, that's all. So reconcile after import is one option we have. Do you want to reconcile immediately once after importing it? Which means It will match the transactions, clear the transactions according to the bank statement and dynamics, and it will automatically reconcile it. But if you disable this option, it will match the transactions and you can go and manually reconcile it. So it will just clear all of them and keep them aside. So you can go and just click on reconcile. Then default matching rule set it is asking. That's what we have to go and configure now. Matching rule set. We have some here configured for another legal entity which can be used for this legal entity also. But however, let's see how we can configure the default matching rules. See, once you configure the matching rules, then system will understand which transaction has to be matched with which transaction and what is the criteria that it have to consider for matching the transactions. Okay, so I'll just take you through matching of advanced bank reconciliation. Here under setup, we have some concept called as advanced bank reconciliation setup. So here within this, I have four things. First is where I can configure bank statement format. So this is the statement format like SBA statement. Just give these details, that's all. Then I'm enabling the XML file. Normally, if you enable XML file, you can upload an XML file accordingly. But if you disable XML and enable generic electronic import format, then for that you might have to configure an electronic format. So if there are chances that functionally we can achieve the configuration, but it requires the good overview on the electronic reporting workspace actually. So this is how we can configure this one. I mean, actually, if you want to do it also, you can do it like SBA1, BA1 statement, processing group is bank, XML file. That's all. You can configure this way. The second one is transaction code mapping. So transaction code mapping is a situation where you can map the transaction types of dynamics to the transaction codes that are given on the bank statement. Suppose if I click on new here, for which bank you are doing it, for SBA, because you can see only one bank here, because for only one bank you have enabled advanced bank reconciliation. So you can see the list of banks that are using advanced bank reconciliation, and we see only SBA here. Then you can add here, see your bank transaction type of one deposits. According to dynamics it is 01, but according to the bank statement it could be of a different name like DEP, deposits. Then let's go back to payment, suppose withdrawals. So WIT, you can select WIT withdrawal and then check payments. Okay, you can say CP, then add check receipts, CD, you can call check deposit, something like that. So why I'm giving this one here is, see, according to dynamics, we have given some numbering like this for each transaction type. But coming to the bank might have specific statement codes for each transaction. They will have what kind of transaction it is. It's a CD transaction, means it's a check deposit transaction, it's a check payment transaction like that. So it's not obvious that bank will maintain the same numbers like us, right? So they might have their unique codes for representing in the bank statement, which are standard for all their customers. So in the bank statement, they will have their unique code for each transaction. So system will match this code to the transaction. During the reconciliation process, it will try to match the 01 to all the deposit transactions, 0 to 2 withdrawal transactions. It will make that combinations, permutations and combinations and try to match all the transactions to the transaction. I mean, on the basis of the bank transaction type and the statement transaction code, it will match the transactions. So whenever this column matches in the reconciliation, there will be a major matching happens. And again, we have certain other rules other than this. I mean, matching according to the amount, according to the date, according to the uh, you know payment reference numbers. So that all we have in the next step. So this is the primary step where you can match the bank transaction type to the statement transaction code on the bank statement. Second condition would be um, reconciliation matching rules. So you can create reconciliation matching rules as you want. So we have some. Actually, I'll try to explain this one. So as you can see here, so I'll just create new better. Just give it as something like 1, 1, 2, 3. Only just SBI 1 firstly. Okay. So you can see here you have three conditions. Match with bank document means the existing transactions matching. Then clear reversal statement lines. In case the bank itself is having some reversal lines, the posted in bank as well as reversed in bank. We did not record the transaction in our Dynamics books at all. So then how to handle such kind of transactions? Mark new transactions. In case if there are any new transactions identified in the bank statement, how system have to handle that new transactions. Earlier in the manual bank reconciliation, we have posted the manually created the new transactions and posted them during reconciliation. So in the advanced bank reconciliation, how system have to handle the new transactions. So all those things has to be addressed. So firstly, I'll go with this one, match with the bank statement. So here I can select the option match amount. So yes, you have to, every transaction from the bank statement have to match with the amounts of the bank, this Dynamics transactions. So in that case, if it is matching the amounts like 10,000 transaction from there, deposit transaction of 10,000 from there is matching, going to match with the deposit transaction of 10,000 in Dynamics. What is the allowed amount difference? How much variance that you can allow the system? I say $1 difference I can allow, means if there is a $1 less or more also, system will match those transactions. There can be chances that round offs and other things are possible. So I would say system that match, at least if there is a $1 difference also, match those transactions. And again, it's not only about the amount, it's also about the date. So according to the date, according to the amount, system will match the transactions from bank statement to Dynamics. So you can also give a difference for date. Suppose 1 day variance also you can agree, or you can say I don't want to any variance in the dates, only zero variance in the dates. But there are chances sometimes you might post transaction today in your bank books and that would affect the banks tomorrow, or might affect the bank today itself and you will post the transaction tomorrow. Chances are there. So you can give your date difference as you wish. Then match document number. Every transaction sometimes also have document number, but mostly document numbers are not given on bank statement. If in case if there is any, you can match it. Match transaction type. We have configured right transaction types earlier in the earlier screen. Transaction statement code to the transaction type. So that one. And then match payment reference number. Payment reference number we can add it during the uh, during every transaction we can add payment reference number in Dynamics. So the same way the same payment reference number will also be there in the bank statement, right? So both the payment reference numbers will be matched as well. So according to this criteria, transactions will be matched and reconciled. System will understand how it have to match the transaction. So it will go for the date. So going to the bank statement date for the 23rd of November, how many transactions it have. Coming to Dynamics, 23rd of November, how many it have. On 23rd of November in the bank statement, there is a 10,000 deposit transaction. So it will check for the 10,000 deposit transaction in the Dynamics as well. So in Dynamics also on 23rd, there is a deposit transaction. So it matched the date as well as the transaction code. Now go back to amount. How much amount it is for the deposit transaction? It is for 10,000 there. Same 10,000 here. So three criteria is matched. Then the fourth criteria, payment reference number. So does it have a payment reference number? If no, it doesn't. Okay. If it doesn't have, it won't match anything, right? I mean, both the sides there is no payment reference number. So the three rules are matched and the fourth rule will also be matched. And if there is a difference in the payment reference number from bank statement to the Dynamics books, then it will fail again. Like three are matched, but the fourth rule is not matched. If all the four rules are matched, then only two transactions can be marked together. So that's how, if you leave the payment reference number, then only the three criteria will be selected for matching the transactions. So this is how you can give rules. So this is for how you can match the existing transactions. So again, you can create one more rule for how you can match the new transactions. So for the new transactions, again, you might have to give some details here in this place, how the new transactions are mapped. So if you configure like that, how the existing transactions are mapped, how the new transactions are mapped. I mean, all of them are almost the same. So then those will be created under a reconciliation matching rule set. Coming to matching rule set, see all the three here in this previous configuration. Actually, I'm adding all the three. So how to match existing transaction, match existing transactions, match with bank and new transactions. All the three of them I can give, or I can give two, like match existing and match the new transactions, only two. So these two we can configure in the list and we can use them. I mean, these two rules will be selected for the matching of SBI Advanced Bank Reconciliation. If you use this matching set, that's how in interview, if they would ask this question, just tell them that you did not work on Advanced Bank Reconciliation previously. Not many of the consultant worked on Advanced Bank Reconciliation. But if they ask you the formats, just say about these three formats are used. And if they ask you about the process, just give you an overview of how it works. Like we have to import a bank statement and it will reconcile the transactions automatically. But for that, we might have to configure some transaction code mapping, reconciliation matching rules, like how to match the dates and the amounts and the payment reference numbers or the document numbers and the transaction codes and all. So once matched properly, system will automatically clear the transactions from bank statement to the bank books in Dynamics. So later you can reconcile it manually, or you can also uh, delegate system to automatically reconcile it. I mean, we have that option right in the bank. So that's how. Then if I go to bank account, suppose in the cash and bank management, bank accounts, if I go to SBI now, under reconciliation, I can see there is a change in the menu. For ICICI, I can see these three: account reconciliation, reconciled, and reconciled. Coming to SBI, I can see bank reconciliation, reconciled, and reconciled. And other than that, I have bank statements, bank transactions. Here, bank statements, bank transactions. So if I click on bank statements, I can see the list of bank statements that I have imported. But I don't have any bank statements imported. You can import a bank statement from here. So click on import statement. So it will ask for which bank you are going to import it, SBI. Import statement for multiple bank accounts in all legal entities. You can do this for all the legal entities at a time. You can import it. Then you have to select again, but you are selecting only for one bank, SBI. Statement format, it automatically takes this since we have assigned this in the bank account. Then you can browse a file from your list of files you have. You can select the file that you are going to import. If at all the file is here in the folder, you can select one and you can upload it. So reconcile after import, again you have the option here. If you want immediately reconcile after importing, it will reconcile, but if you disable this option, it will just mark the transactions and leave it. It won't reconcile. You have to go and manually click on reconcile now, so it will reconcile. That's how we can check the market transactions, all of them, and preview, and you can then click on reconcile later if you don't enable this option. So this is the way how it works. Other than this, actually, let me take you to bank transactions. So we have only two transactions in this bank, other than bank reconciliation. Normally, when you upload the statement, bank statement, there will be two screens, up screen and down screen. In the up screen, it will show you the list of transactions according to the bank statement. In the down screen, it will show you the list of transactions according to Dynamics. Okay, it will mark each transactions from the bank statement and the matching transaction here in the Dynamics. So it will, in the up screen, some transactions are ticked, and in the bottom screen also it will tick the matched transactions. So those are the transactions that are going to be reconciled according to the uh, according to the system. So the rules that you have given, right, according to those rules, it will match the transactions in the up screen to the bottom screen from bank statement to the Dynamics. And later you have the option of reconciliation. You can reconcile it. And that's how this advanced bank reconciliation works. Okay. Keep this overview in mind. Nothing more to stress on this. Okay, if somebody asks you, just explain the overview. You just know the overview. You did not work on it in interview, definitely. But somehow you will get a chance to work on it later in your project, maybe then you can learn it if that that is the situation. But as far as I see, the clients that I worked on, only one client used advanced bank reconciliation. That too, it's a retail company and they have thousands of transactions on daily basis associated to banks. So they had to do that. I mean, they had to do that actually using the advanced bank reconciliation, because manual bank reconciliation is a very big process for them to do since it's a retail company. So that would be all about this advanced bank reconciliation.